What is your most disturbing secret? Before we start with the first story, please hit a subscribe and ring the notification bell to stay updated with us. Story 1. I'm terrified of going into work. Not work itself. I'm a hard worker, but I despise sitting in an office full of people I barely know, constantly being evaluated in person, and pretending I enjoy not being warm and safe in my cozy home. For some of us, the pandemic was a blessing. Story 2. I have a serious skin-picking problem. I can just sit for hours straight in front of a mirror and inspect every pore on my face, chest, and my hands. It's gotten so bad that I have little scars all over my face, but I literally can't stop doing it. Story 3. I'm an alcoholic. No one is aware of how bad it's gotten, but I'm drinking to almost blackout daily and going to work ill every single day. I still do my job fine, but the second I'm off, it's all I want to do, and I can't stop myself anymore. It's been like this for almost 2 years now. What I'm doing to myself while acting completely fine to everyone disturbs me, but I'm really struggling to get myself help. Story 4. I never had a girlfriend but told everyone I did have one and that she broke up with me. I was so good at lying about it that I myself believed my lie, and somehow I felt really sad and depressed. Then I even remembered memories I never had, and afterwards I was like, what am I doing? Story 5. During my worst periods of dealing with bulimia, if I had no food on hand to binge and purge, I would steal lunches from people at work or pick things out of the trash. I was never caught. The shame, guilt, and disgust with myself was always there, but it took intensive counseling, medication, and working with a specialist on other issues to help me to stop. Story 6. Not a secret necessarily, but my labia tore in 2 spots near my clit when I gave birth to my son. I had him at home, and my son's dad is and was mentally abusive. I had no support or help, and the stitches didn't hold. I was 22 at the time, and obviously self-conscious of my vagina already, as most women are, and my ex tormented me by telling me things like my pussy was mangled and ugly. I was in survival mode for so long, it wrecked my self-esteem. Story 7. Since childhood, I often daydream of suicide. The more spectacular, sudden, and gory, the better. I'll never act on it, but most of the time it's sheer spite fantasy. A common one is me blowing my brains out onto somebody on purpose. Therapy helped a lot, but I still have random Family Guy cutaways in my head daily. Some of them even make me laugh out loud sometimes, but I always explain it away as something else. Story 8. People in my personal life who find out I'm a professional dom instantly feel free about telling me their darkest secrets. I know who's secretly gay, I know who's on steroids, I know who's kinky, I know who has erectile dysfunction. I know both men and women who were brutally saved as children. I even know someone who's killed a guy. He wasn't boasting or bragging, he seemed really shook up about it. I might be the only one he's told. So, my most disturbing secret is that I'm a trauma sponge for absorbing everyone else's disturbing secrets. Story 9. I was abused mentally, physically, and sexually from the age of around 7 until 15 years old by one person, who I thought was my best friend during the time. I'm 23 now, and just finally coming around to the realization of everything that happened and why I have so many mental health and trust issues now, and I'm talking about it in therapy finally. As far as I know, my abuser is living a comfortable, happy life, and the only person that knows about this is me and my therapist. Story 10. A few years ago, I used to work at Home Depot at the returns desk. It was mostly very elderly people who worked alongside me in our store. I was the youngest in the team. We had a lady, Margaret, who had issues with bowel control due to her medications. She used to fart without even realizing she's farting. Usually loud, but harmless ones, even when she was having a normal conversation. So we got so used to her doing that, even though it was awkward in the beginning. One day we were having a team huddle and it started to smell like fresh manure. Such a strong stench. And then one more with a different flavor this time. The manager dismissed the team huddle. And one of the team members murmured, "My God, Margaret, what was that?" It was me. "I did that, Margaret, I'm sorry." Story 11. About 5 years ago, one of my first cousins started messaging me on Facebook, and I realized right away that he was being extremely flirtatious. I obviously dodged it, but tried to do it in a sensitive way. And he wound up confessing to me that his older brother had said to him for years when they were kids. This man has a wife and children and lives a life that looks wonderful on the outside. And as far as I know, nobody else in the family has any idea what happened. His older brother also has a wife and children and lives a life that looks wonderful on the outside. I don't know if there is anything I could do other than encourage my cousin to seek help, and I worry that my older cousin just molested his brother for years and will get away with it. Story 12. My husband passed away a few years ago. I tell everyone how much I loved him and only talk about the good times we had and how great he was. In honesty, I hated him for every bit of the 33 years we were together. He was so mean to me, both physically and mentally, every single day. He hid it well, and in front of anyone he was okay to me, but when we were alone he was terrible. I hated him so much I live alone now and am just finding myself. I moved to a different state and have made new friends, and everyone seems to really like me, and I even like myself now too. It's been really hard to tell myself that I am okay. I have never said any of this out loud. I feel bad that I am happy he is gone. Story 13. I've had times where I've been thinking things and have tried to work out the initial source of that thought. As whenever we go to speak, we are literally just speaking what we think, like copying the phrase we just heard in our head. And when we think of things at will, where do those thoughts come from? Is it somewhere else than the automatic or subconscious thoughts? Where does the first thought stem from? Makes sense that it's spitting out countless thoughts, and another part is plucking out anything relevant to focus more thought on. Story 14. My wife revealed to me in the last 6 months that she really hasn't felt comfortable with and attracted to me since shortly after she moved in with me. That was 3 years before we were married. We have been married 19 years. You can imagine how entangled our lives are. Being good roommates, co-parents to teens, and vacation companions doesn't make mentally healthy options, divorce, look much better. These revelations have led to the realization of no connection, and therefore no interest in sex, by both of us at this point. Unfortunately, marriage has been financially harmful, and divorce would be final devastating at this point. Edit 1. Months of weekly therapy, multiple self-help books, and countless conversations, and even spending more time together has only revealed our issues more strongly. Edit 2. We had occasional sex for the whole marriage, until therapy started. It was always initiated by me, or her thinking that I've gone too long without. And she almost always had to have a drink or take to get herself in the mood. Her vulnerability and refusal to allow herself to be pleasured is a whole other topic. Until recently, I craved more frequency, gave up on deeper sexual exploration years ago, thinking that was the main problem. Then it's like I woke up from a stupor. Although I'm trying, I find it hard to connect to someone who I don't believe likes me. Probably the same for her, but we are trying. Edit 3. She is a caring person. I believe she wasn't deliberate about moving forward, despite not being comfortable with me intimately since early on. She was optimistic that our situation would get better as my career progressed. She also recently admitted that she didn't think sex was that important around the time we got married. In many ways, I've been treated quite well, like I'm one of the pets. She just hasn't felt the romantic or intimate tug most of our relationship after I wasn't able to be physically or emotionally there when she first moved in. Story 15. Okay, this will probably cause me some shame, but it'll get buried, so I don't care. So, my wife makes great biscuits and gravy. Like, really good. I never liked biscuits and gravy before we got married. Maybe I never had a version that was good enough? Maybe my tastes have changed? All of my kids love my wife's biscuits and gravy too. She's a pretty good cook, so there's that. Over the years, I've had other versions of biscuits and gravy with varying affection for the taste. Some good, some plan to just flat out mid. So, again, my wife's gravy with biscuits comes out on top. One day, a friend of mine and his wife came over so we could all hang out. He offered to cook dinner for us. He said that he was going to make biscuits and gravy. Now, like I mentioned before, I never liked it before I got married and had me try hers. So I was a bit nervous, as mentioned previously. My wife's biscuits and gravy always came out on top. When your friend comes over and cooks for you, how do you gently tell them that it's not good? Do you give them the fake sounding, "My stomach has been messed up all day," or the tried and true, "I already ate" line, "I'll eat it later"? The latter buys you enough time to let them leave before you throw the shit out. Anyway, my buddy's cooking, and I'm already mentally preparing my speech, going over and over in my head so it doesn't sound forced or sincere enough. But hey, at the very least, I can always just choke it down, right? Well, he finished up and had us try it. I'll be damned if it wasn't the best biscuits and gravy I've ever had in my life. Like, damn, it was tasty. I had 2 plates worth. I still think of it from time to time. And while my wife's biscuits and gravy is still good, it pales in comparison to my friend's version. Every time she cooks it, I remember my friend's version and I don't say anything. Nothing at all. I'm not trying to get my ass kicked, so I hide my head in shame. Alright folks, that's a wrap. If you like more of this, please hit a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You can also share your thoughts in the comment below. I'll see you in the next video.